Oh, hello there. I'm Matt Crawford, and for the past 4 years, I have played the internet character of Tekking101. But today, I want to talk about something that's a little bit more important than keto spells and Zanpakutos or whatever. We're going to be talking about backstories. Did you know that for every manga character that gets a backstory, there's another 20 that do not in that same series? This is a horrible travesty that overrides any other current predicament that the planet has ever dealt with, and I am here to put an end to it. Take Bleach, for instance. We have the Stern Raiders, which are an elite team of members that are supposed to fight against the Shinigami as their ultimate enemy. And how many do we have backstories for? As not. Yeah. Just this guy. This is your poster child for the backstory of your entire group. I mean, hell, we don't even know what's up with Yuha completely, but aside from the main characters, we have the little guy. You know, the people that died in like 1 or 2 chapters that we're never gonna find anything out about. I want to know the backstory behind Robert Akutron and his mustache, damn it. I want to know the strife that went into grooming that fucking thing. I also want to know about Shaz Domino, or what the hell was up with Pepe, okay, or what the hell was up with Gremmy, or why was Candace such a bitch, or why does Masque Masculine clearly have a Mexican luchador motive when he's supposed to be fucking German. But anyway, if you donate $300,000 today to the Tekking101 Backstory Foundation, I will make sure that Kubo gets a kick in the nuts every single time he introduces a character and doesn't explain why they're there, what they're doing, or why they are fighting against who they're fighting against. So we appreciate all your humble donations of exactly $300,000, but if you're still on the fence about donating, just remember that the United States Academy of Science and Other Things recently voted being killed by a brick as the most painful way to die on the entire planet. This is a brick. I have several. Keep this in mind. Hey everybody, Tekking101 here, here to review Bleach chapter 630, titled The Twin Twilight. Nope, nothing to do with that, nothing to do with that. I have to put the disclaimer right there. Every time I hear that damn word now, it's just... Ugh. Okay, anyway, so the chapter begins with the building that Askin Aklevar was standing on being completely demolished by Grimmjow's attack from last chapter. You know, Askin gets sent out to kill Ichigo in the group, and then all of a sudden Grimmjow's like, sneak attack! Well, not really sneak attack, just like, I'm attacking you, and just shreds the freaking building down, and Ichigo's freaking out, like, oh, damn, Grimmjow, what was the plan of attack? And was like, I had a plan, it's attack, and I'm Tony Stark in this shit. So, yeah, that building gets completely collapsed, and as you all know, though, Askin's not really dead. I mean, no, just beyond the fact that that would be a really wimpy way for one of your main enemies to die. I mean, hey, death by Grimmjow, you know, not the worst way to go out, but just that quick, you know, and giving him Askin's power and everything, and he still has Blutes, so, you know, a demolishing building is not really going to be the one to kill him. So, he actually just starts sprinting away from the rubble, though. He doesn't make any attempt to try to confront Grimmjow or anything like that, and he just starts running away like, damn, I don't get paid enough for this shit, man, I'm out of here. And Grimmjow notices him, and he's like, oh, well, I'm going to chase after you. So, there's this really, I mean, Askin's whole deal is, like, he doesn't want to have any trouble, you know, he doesn't want to go into an actual, like, fist fight with anybody where he looks like he's going to get seriously injured. He kind of got it sucked into that last time with Nimaya because, you know, Yuha was right there. It wasn't like Askin could just go against, you know, Yuha's will at that moment because Yuha was right there. But when he was going to confront Mayuri back in, like, I think chapter 547 or something like that, you know, Mayuri comes out of the room and Askin's just like, oh, screw you, I'm not doing this. That's going to be too much of a hassle. And, you know, for the most part, he was just chilling out. So Askin is not the kind of guy that's going to get into, you know, one-on-one combat unless he seriously has to. You know, he even says this to Grimmjow, like, the whole point of me coming here, I didn't come here to just to fight you guys, I came here to massacre you. So I guess his idea was, you know, I'm gonna stay in the shadows and I'm gonna be really sneaky and I'm gonna, like, take you all out, like, backstab each and every one of you. That's the way that Askin does it. He wants to just be a quick, you know, one-hit KO. He doesn't want to go into an actual fight where it looks like he can get hurt. I'm curious by this because given his power, it doesn't seem like he can really die. I mean, he got freaking stabbed by or slashed or cut in the throat by Nimaya that first time, and he just kind of like licked the blood and sat right back up like everything was cool. So, I mean, I'm sure it still hurts for him, but there's really no way for him to be, like, legitimately scared of being in a battle. It just goes against his personality. But Grimmjow and Askin do have some, you know, pretty funny back and forths, you know. It's like, okay, what are you, you know, blabbering on about not wanting to fight but wanting to kill? And you're like, who the hell are you anyway? And Askin's like, oh, I can tell you the same thing. You know, you weren't even with Kurisaki's group. You just popped out of nowhere. You know, who the hell are you anyway? And Grimmjow's like, oh, well, I'm Kurisaki's sworn enemy, that's all. He says it so nonchalantly, too. He's just like, oh, me? Oh, I mean, she goes, sworn enemy. And Askin's like, oh, okay, cool, you're a sworn enemy, awesome, then that's great. Fight with me and we can take him out together. Like I'd join up with you. We're clearly enemies. No, we're friends. No, we're enemies. No, we're friends. No, we're enemies. No, we're enemies. No, we're totally friends. No, dude, we are worst enemies. No, we are besties. We are like SpongeBob and Patrick. We're gonna have a freaking hot tub party tonight at Sarah's house, and I got a new swimsuit, and we're gonna show this shit off, and then we're gonna go shopping at the mall tomorrow. We are BFFs, do you hear me? Okay, you know what? Fuck this. So, Grimmjow activates his new ability, which is apparently armament hockey from the One Piece universe. I mean, how else am I supposed to explain this? Like, he slams his hand on the ground, like in a claw position, and then this black substance just appears on his arm and, you know, completely encroaches, like, right up to around his wrist, and he just starts charging at freaking Askin on all fours like a freaking, you know, jaguar in a blood rage. So, I mean, I have a theory this might be like a heightened version of Hario, you know, the armor that the Ronkars have that you may have forgotten about because it hasn't been mentioned in like fucking forever. This is clearly probably the technique that he used last chapter in order to take out the, you know, the big swipe. I kind of said it was Descaron, or it was very similar to Descaron, so I don't know, maybe it's an advanced form of Hario, maybe he can solidify, maybe he can like conform certain parts of his body to like his Segunde, not Segunde Etapa, his Resurrection form, you know, to save energy or certain things like that, but you know, he uses this technique to clearly, you know, have more of his animalistic, you know, panther, jaguar characteristics while still being in his sealed state. So, I mean, the whole point of the Resurrection is that their original forms is what they look like in the Resurrection. So, maybe Grimmjow can just switch back and forth between different body parts. He doesn't have to release his sword completely, something like that. But whatever, it gives him more, you know, ferocity in order to chase after Askin. So they just begin their, I don't even want to say fight, because, you know, Askin's like, oh crap, and he just starts running away even faster, and that's the last we see from them this chapter. So I would like to think that, you know, Askin tries to run away, Grimmjow sneaks up from behind him, grabs his neck, slams him to the ground, and starts tearing into him like a wild animal, which, hey, that might happen, and Askin would just get back up like, oh, dude, that really freaking stung. Get some freaking antibiotic ointment on that, and oh, and also you're screwed now because I have the death-dealing power. That actually might legitimately happen, that statement. I was joking about, you know, the mauling attack, but if Grimmjow did that, he would be walking directly into Askin's abilities, so yeah, that might actually go down now. But anyway, we get the title page of the chapter, then we cut back over to the Silburn, where we see Haschwalth discussing matters of utmost importance with random mustachioed Quincy member. I'm gonna say he's Robert Acutron's brother David, just for the sake of continuity. So yeah, this is some random dude that's just there. I mean, I guess they still have their foot soldiers that are still around. You know, it's kind of freaky that we didn't see any of them when Ua was having his big, you know, celebratorial party last chapter, when he was, you know, like, everyone, take a knee, I am now your god. So, I mean, really, he's just there for one reason you'll see later on, and also so Haschwalth could just have somebody to talk to, because there's so very few Quincy's left at this point. I think Kubo's just like, okay, well, their foot soldiers are still around, so there you go. So, yeah, anyway, Haschwalth's talking to David about, you know, where all the different Schutzstaffel, or the elite Sternritters, that's what they're calling them, the Schutzstaffel, which is modern day what the SS were called from the Nazi Party. So I find it very interesting that they're called that, because Bleach does take place, at least the living world, it takes place in our modern day times. So like in the Bleach universe, the Nazis did exist, and there was a version of the Schutzstaffel, but then Yuha calls their elite Sternritters the Schutzstaffel, but Yuha's like 1,000 years old, so I did get, well, whatever, brain confusion. Anyway, the point of the matter is, you know, Haschwalth wants to know where the hell Uryu is, and David Acutron tells him, oh, well, he got sent over to the second junction, and Haschwalth's just like, oh, man, that's a little bit confusing. See, the problem here is Haschwalth still doesn't trust Uryu as far as he can throw him, and because all the other elite Sternritters, the Schutzstaffel, acknowledged him, you know, we had that moment back, I think, chapter 619, where, hell, held Valkyrie shows up, and he's like, oh, you're all right in my book, kid, and, you know, so he acknowledged him, and Yuha obviously acknowledged Uryu's existence, so Uryu pretty much can just do whatever he wants now, he can go wherever, and Haschwalth still doesn't trust him, so he's just like, okay, well, there's nobody left to really follow after him, so he orders David Akutron to go look after Uryu and report back to him if he tries anything, because he may thinks that maybe Uryu might try to align with Ichigo, or he might try to escape, or he might try to do something to bring Yuha down, or something of the like, so he orders David just to keep an eye on. Yes, sir, Lord Haschwalth, I will make sure to carry out this task 115% to your liking. And hey, do you think if I do well, I'll even become the next Sternritter? Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, we clearly have a bunch of openings. I tell you what, if you do well, I'll make you Sternritter F. Oh, man, that's the best news I have all day. You know, my wife's been telling me to ask for a promotion for weeks now, and, you know, my brother died, and it's just all really messed up. But hey, anyway, what do you think the F's gonna mean? I don't know, probably fucked. What does that mean? And why is my head starting to burn? Oh, God, my eye!
Bazz B is the chicken man! The H is the #1 poultry fan!
Well, shit, that didn't take long. Memorial services will be held, you know, screw it. Anyway, yeah, Bazz B appears behind David Akutron and just nails him in the back of the head with a burner finger 1, so he's pretty dead. Yeah, he's pretty gone. But yeah, now that Bazz B's on the scene, him and Haschwalth are going to have a little conversation about what's been going on recently with the whole, you know, holy selection betraying his loyal soldiers, killing others. You know, what's going on, Haschwalth? What's the haps, man? And by what's the haps, of course, Bazz B just means, I'm gonna freaking kill you! So he just starts charging toward Haschwalth and grabs him by the collar and just activates Burner Finger 1. I don't exactly know what form of interrogation he's trying to do here, or he's just trying to outright kill him. You'll understand in a second that Bazz B's not completely against having a conversation with Haschwalth about this, but he just immediately jumps into him and tries to kill him, and I don't know why he's trying Burner Finger 1. I mean, I'm assuming he's just like gets more precise, just like grab his collar, you know, Burner Finger 1, boom, you're dead. But, you know, Bazz B knows Haschwalth. You know, aside from the fact he's the Majesty's right-hand man, and he's Sternritter freaking B, and he's the Grandmaster of all the Sternritters, you'd think that a technique like that wouldn't be able to kill him, but I guess get a try, right? So, yeah, Haschwalth just kind of does like a cool-ass backflip, throws his cape in front of him and kind of obscures his vision, and then smacks Bazz B right in the side of the temple with his freaking sword. Ah, oh, damn it! Did you just hit me with your freaking pummel? Yeah, that's what I did. Who does that? Ow! Jeez, I'm freaking gonna have a migraine for a month now because of that. So he activates his Burner Finger 1, it burns right through the cloak and sends a beam right through the Silburns, so, you know, pretty powerful crap, but then they both land on opposite sides. Oh, by the way, Haschwalth's uniform beneath his, like, Sternritter cloak is like a fur-trimmed, you know, double-breasted suit-looking thing. Kind of reminds me of Stark. I kind of really like it. Lily Barrel had that kind of motive going on, too, with the fur-trimmed stuff, so I don't know if that's something just, like, in the higher echelons, but it looks pretty neat. But anyway, they now begin to have somewhat of a conversation. Haschwalth brings up the fact that the wounds on Bazz B are not because of the enemy, they're because of the Aswallen, and he states that he wasn't chosen. Bazz B brings up that it was a complete and utter genocide. What happens was the light that happened to hit the Sternritter members died instantly, such as Robert Akutron, whereas the people that avoided the light, such as Giselle and Loloto, they got to live, however their powers got stolen in the forms of their Volt Standing, so they can no longer activate their Volt Standing powers, and that ability went up to the Schutzstaffen, and they could still use their normal powers. You know, Bazz B still has his heat power, but he can't activate his Volt Standing anymore. So Haschwalth is basically just like, oh, that sucks to be you, pretty much. You know, he says, oh, you have my sympathy. Yeah, I'm sure he's completely genuine with that, too. It's just like, oh, yeah, you got your power stolen, got all your comrades killed, and pretty much an absolute genocide of all of our loyal subjects. Yeah, it's cool. Do you have my sympathy? I'll send you a card in the mail, something like that. And Bazz B's like, I ain't having none of that shit. You rank so high in this organization. Don't you dare tell me that you did not know that this was going to go down. And Haschwalth basically tells him, yeah, I did know it was going to go down, but what's the point at this point? It already happened. You already got screwed over. There's nothing that I can really tell you to make you feel any better and happy and sunshine and roses at this point. We're pretty much destined to fight at this point. And so Bazz B just, you know, shouts at him, you know, aren't we friends though? And Haschwalth calls him Bazz B. Bazz B retorts by calling him, just call me Baz like you did back then. So that alludes to some past between them, you know, like what sort of, you know, history they have with each other. Remember that Bazz B was the only person to call Haschwalth Jugo, I think as like a shortened nickname, and apparently Jugram used to call Bazz B Baz for short, so they clearly had some sort of camaraderie there that maybe more so than just like the regular Sternritters, you know, like master and subordinate, stuff like that. Well, regardless, we close out the chapter by Bazz B activating Burner Finger 2 in a really cool fashion, and then he notices that the night is beginning to fall outside, so that means that the power swap between Haschwalth and Yuha is going to occur soon. And I have to bring this up because this this is kind of a confusing issue. All right, so the whole deal with the idea of, like, the night now is that, you know, first off, that Yuha first exclaimed that after 9 days he will rule the world, and also that whenever night falls, Haschwalth becomes the ruler while Yuha becomes the father of the Quincy's. He has to keep absorbing powers or else he'll regress to his infant form. The problem I have with this is that we all know how many powers Yuha has at this point, and he's literally devoured the Soul King. What gives Bazz B the idea, like, his powers are going to operate the same way now? I mean, maybe the power transfer is not even going to occur. Like, does he even need to absorb the powers of others now? I mean, he has so much power, you know, why would you think that he is still limited by these, like, these restrictions of, like, night? And if he still is limited by these restrictions, then what was the point of you gaining the power of the Soul King if you still need to, you know, do the whole power swap and you still have to worry about your body regressing back to an infant? I mean, that's pretty lame if you absorbed God and you still have to worry about those conditions, you know? But also I have to bring up the number of days that have passed, you know, because that's been a big confusion, you know. It's apparently like the last 9 days, and, you know, which day are we on? So, the first day, when Yuha announced this, you know, he took over the Soul Society, and then in chapter 559, it was made out very clear that it was the first night, because Ikaku and Yumichika said, you know, it's night now, okay. And then that night lasts, I think, 6 chapters, and then in chapter 565, we get to find out about, you know, how power swap between Haschwalth and Yuha take place, and then the sun rises at the end of that chapter, so that begins day 2. Now, this gets a little bit more confusing after this point, because it was raining a couple times, and we can't just go by the sky. You know, we can't just go by that, because, you know, the sky has been very cloudy certain points. But I'm going to say the next night possibly is whenever Mayuri was fighting against Giselle, because that's when, you know, he activated his light, you know, suit, and it looked very dark out, and, you know, Giselle was just like, oh, I can't see anything because it's so bright. But that may very well not be a night. That might have just been, you know, the overcasted sky. So this may possibly be the second night, you know, since chapter 565, which is like, you know, 70-ish chapters ago, and it's completely ridiculous that Kubo, you know, is setting up, like, I don't think we're still going to go through, like, this pace of, like, no, like, 7 more days after this, but, you know, and it's not even true, like, Kubo might not even keep up with the 9 days thing. He might end this, you know, like, in this night or tomorrow, I don't even know, but the point of the matter is that Bazz B is waiting for night to fall so that their powers switch, and that Yuha is basically defenseless so that Bazz B can just kill Haschwalth, and therefore kill Yuha's power. So I'm going to kill, you know, Yuha along with you freaking traitor. And then we get the last scene of the chapter where we cut over to Bazz B, apparently, who is looking very young. And we don't really know if it's Bazz B. It possibly maybe could be Haschwalth, but I'm going to just go with Bazz B because, you know, this chapter really focuses heavily on him. And so we see Bazz B in silhouette, who is a small child who's looking at, looks like a town that's completely burning apart. We see some trees, we see some old buildings and stuff, and it looks like German kind of architecture. So it's a scene from a very long time ago. And apparently we're going to get a flashback, I guess, to Bazz B's past, which is really good because, like I said, the only backstory we've seen for a Sternritter before this, I believe, is Asnod. I believe that's the only one, you know, barring Yuha because he's kind of in a class of his own. But I think beside Asnod, you know, when he was, like, sickly and dying in that hospital bed, I think this is the only one after this. And, of course, you know, Kubo clearly wants to feature Bazz B a little bit more. He clearly has some, you know, he wants to feature him as somewhat of a, I don't want to say main character, but kind of a character of importance, kind of give him the spotlight. So, yeah, I don't know if this is going to turn out to some, like, maybe Ginsho Tsukishima kind of deal, where, you know, like, in this scene, we see, you know, Bazz B's village burning down when he was a child, maybe he lost his parents or some shit like that, and then Haschwalth shows up, and he's just like, I will be your friend, and come with me to the Silburn, and we'll become Sternritters or whatever, and that's how their relationship is, sort of like a big brother, little brother sort of deal. I'm not sure. But I hope we do get a backstory next chapter. I hope we get a lot of that, because even if it's only like half the chapter. But yeah. Oh, also, I guess sort of Lloyd and Royd, we got a backstory for them because, you know, we saw them as babies and when they were growing up, but we didn't really get much information on, you know, how did the Sternritters get their power? Because apparently from Lloyd and Royd, they had their powers since they were in utero, and with Asnod, you know, Yuha had to give it to him, and that's very confusing. And of course, the fire is reminiscent of Bazz B's own abilities, the heat, so that's going to affect his powers in some way. Hey, maybe he burned the village down himself by accident. I don't know. You know, some school kids are, you know, picking on him or something, and he's just like, everyone shut up, and it's like that chick from the Hellboy franchise that I forget her name, and she just, like, ignited the whole freaking village on fire, maybe something like that. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Tekking101 signing out. Yeah, not a very eventful chapter, but, you know, maybe get a backstory next time. I'm looking forward to that. All right, see you guys.
shoot down with his epic hawk. There is no doubt he's the king of the cock. Burnfinger 1, Burnfinger 2, there is no hope for me or you. Burnfinger 3, Burnfinger 4, Dumba's dead, there is no more.
There ain't sharp, stern bitches. It is the fire that melts this world.
He'll shoot hot lava plumes in your face, laying the bond in K2 weight. Nuts and screws are in his head like atrocities dyed in red.